Hello, my name is Dwight Gillespie, and this is Change Your Life channel. It's a little bit too much enthusiasm. I'm used to doing the other one, which is the Trash TV review. But anyway, this is a little more subdued. And what we focus on here at this channel now, anyway, is we talk a lot about recovery and 12-step programs and things like this, and how it works in our lives and why we work a 12-step program. And again, it doesn't matter what 12-step program you're working. I'm just going to look at the time here real quick. We talk about the benefits of that. So if you're having questions about this, or if you have any comments or anything like that, if you're in a 12-step recovery program, you'd like to comment on it, please, by all means, feel free, and we answer everything that we can here. And today we're talking with Peter. This is the third segment, actually, in a thing that we've been doing. Different hat, same shirt. Okay, we're doing Canada, eh? we're up in Canada, eh?
No hat, same shirt.
Yeah. Well, that's as long as the hat changes. Yeah. I tell you, it's an illusion of time passing.
It's an illusion.
Time is an illusion.
It's an illusion,
anyway,
Michael.
We've covered a couple of We've covered a couple of topics here, and the last one was going to be becoming an adult in recovery. We were going to talk about that, but we were just talking about something interesting as well, which is the recovery process itself. And there are a lot of programs underway to help people, like with safe shooting sites and things like this. And we got into this thing as this guy running for prime minister in Canada, and that's what brought it up. We started with a hat. It's just funny how things roll like that, right? And I have some definite opinions about recovery, and I don't think that the government personally should be involved in what people do. And I've always been a proponent of, look, make it legal, however, I am also a proponent of you're on your own. Like, it's not up to the government to make sure that you have a safe place to shoot drugs, or that they should give you drugs, or that if you are a drug addict, they should have to house you and feed you and clothe you and all these other things. Like, that people are not being made, they're not being made to suffer for the consequences of their actions.
Right.
And this went to some of the other things we were talking about being a responsible adult, growing up in recovery, and the childishness of using, and how you're putting all that on other people. Like, I want to do this because I feel like smoking meth today, so other people should have to, pay for my food tonight because I got to buy my meth. What am I supposed to do, And you were saying.
Yeah, I was saying.
In your wrong opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think the government should tell people what to put in their bodies.
I agree.
We're not, what's the word? We're not property.
Right.
However, I do believe if you're an adult, you have to take some governance over yourself and decide how you want to treat your body. And nobody should be enabling you to get high. Because I think about these things. I'm like, man, if I was coming up now and there was a weed shop on every block like there is now, God, I don't know.
But there was. It was called a liquor store.
Yeah, that's true.
There was.
That's true. That's true. It's a good point. But, I don't know. I guess.
And I'll be honest with you, liquor, alcohol, to me, and I'm a person who has used just about every intoxicant you can think of. Alcohol is the worst drug there is. Nothing worse than alcohol. What it does, we talk about Andrew Huberman, right? And he did the thing on alcohol. And how alcohol is just horrible for you.
That's why I can't drink anymore,
but
man.
On top of that, a few other things.
Yeah, right.
But on top of that, and I got into this with a woman who lives on my street who, she's got the broken capillaries and the glassy eyes and everything. We got into a discussion of heroin versus alcohol. And I told her alcohol stuff. No, it's not. I'm like, well, I'm sure you have your reasons for believing the way you do. But I said, go into any battered woman's shelter and ask her, was your husband smoking weed when he beat the hell out of you and raped the daughter, or was he drunk? And I'm, 999 times out of 1,000, he was drunk,
Yeah.
the alcohol is always the match for that fuse. To me, I mean, it's, some of the worst, most vile things that I've done in my life were always alcohol fueled. Alcohol fueled a lot of really, really, like my poorest decision making, especially where violence was concerned, centered around alcohol for me. And those shops are on every corner as well.
Yes.
And if it comes down to one or the other. But I also agree with you that, look, many of the laws that we have today and the laws that are coming up are all these laws about protecting you from yourself. Like I always say it started with seatbelt laws. Whether I want to wear a seatbelt or not is up to me. And who got us to pay that was the insurance industry. And the government cloaked it in this, we're helping you. No, you're helping the insurance industry because they want to, they don't want to pay out, and it's a fact. I mean, you got to be an idiot not to wear a seatbelt, quite honestly. But isn't that my decision? And the thing that I find funniest about this, and you want to talk about the worst drug in America, the drug that kills more people than anything else. Now, overdoses last year killed about 110,000 people, they said. It's one of the worst years on record, and it's only getting worse.
I'll take your word for it.
Fentanyl. But a worse drug than that, McDonald's. Fast food. You're talking a million deaths, more than a million deaths. Dude, heart disease, right? All these things like, don't be fat phobic. Those things, like food kills more people in this country than anything else. Poor diet and lack of exercise. Yeah. And can you imagine the government coming in and saying, we're going to regulate, we're going to give you safe eating zones? They do. It's called McDonald's.
Well, you made me think about something right now. What came to mind is like willful ignorance. Willful ignorance.
It sounded like wolf. Wolf ignorance. I didn't know that. It's like some retarded wolf out there.
Pardon me. I'm getting over a cold.
Sorry, we don't say retarded.
Fucking retarded.
Special wolves. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Willful ignorance.
Right. So consider this, right? The era that we live in, where information is rather abundant. Right? Rather.
Yeah.
Both good information and bad information.
I was going to say, correct information is at its lowest point at this.
So if we tie it back into recovery and growing up in recovery, I would say, for me, undeniably, the information you get in our literature is good information. Mm-hmm. It's true information.
Right.
So once you have it,
what makes it true?
What makes it true?
I have an idea.
It makes it true because it works. If you apply it, it works.
For me, one of the things that makes it true, and again, regardless of what process you're in, right?
Yeah.
It's accountability.
Yeah.
All real good recovery information is grounded in accountability.
But that's my point.
Stop doing this shit to yourself, right? That's why it's good information. When you get outside of that and you get, because you talk about enabling, right? We talk about you said the mom who says, it's only $20. Where's it going to go? It's going to go up his nose or it's going to go in his arm, Like that accountability to me is what makes that information true, right? I listened to this woman from San Francisco. She's a city council person in San Francisco, walking around telling the guy who was doing the videographer was bringing her around, and she's like, well, you just don't understand addiction. He's like, lady, I lived on that corner for 3 years. Like, I'm a recovering heroin addict. I know what I'm talking. You don't understand addiction. Because she's talking about, because nobody's going to San Francisco and all these hotels that are closing down. She wants to make them homeless shelters and give people food and give them housing and give them clothes and give them money to shoot drugs.
But to go to your point, accountability, you could almost say, or you could say, it's synonymous with adulthood.
Yeah.
Definitely. Taking responsibility for your actions, what you put in your body, how you behave, how you conduct yourself in society. A child has no accountability. They're children. They have to be led by their parents. Good parents lead their children. So with that being said, to go back to our third topic, which is growing up or having adulthood. Now that I have this information, now that I have a decision to behave in a productive way, I have to make it every day.
Right.
And that's part of the recovery process. Deliberately saying, today I'm going to be accountable. Today I'm not going to use. Today I'm going to be positive, or today I'm not going to act like a jerk. Because you can be clean and still be a jerk.
Yeah.
That, you know, but again, that's accountability.
I have my detractors.
Yeah, that's accountability. Like,
Yeah.
it's looking at yourself, man, I was a jerk today.
Yeah.
How could I do better? It's very simple. Accountability is very simple. It's how can I do better, and recognizing when you're wrong. But
Right.
that's difficult. That takes a level of maturity.
Well, and that my decision-making process is a big part of this. But I see societal problems with this, you know, and I always come back to going to my nephew's baseball game. Now he's 27 or 28 now. See, he was a kid. He was maybe 10. I went to the ball game and I got there late and I asked him, I said, what's the score? She said, oh, we don't keep score. What do you mean you don't keep score? Well, it just makes the kids feel bad when they fail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're supposed to feel bad when you lose. That's what makes you and inspires you to do better.
Right.
If you treat people the same, and that's all that Marxist bullshit too. Like, if we treat everybody the same and have equal outcomes and everybody's going to be happy, that makes for a horrible society. It really does, because every entrepreneur, every successful person, not even entrepreneurs, every successful person will tell you it's built on failure. You look at professional athletes, which is the only place that you're still allowed to be uber aggressive, and where success isn't looked down upon, right? Like, you look at now, we look at people with money now, and people say, "Oh, people with money, they must have cheated to get what they got." And like, it's like no entrepreneurs ever worked hard to get their money, right? But in sports, you're still allowed to look at an athlete and say that person is successful because they worked hard and they never quit. And that's the difference between a professional and an amateur when it comes. You're a bodybuilder, and you know, like, the difference between, and you do this every day. Look at how you did, right?
I wouldn't say a bodybuilder.
Well, all right, but you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You lift.
Yes.
You're a lifter.
I lift.
Right, power lift. Well, that's an athlete.
Yes,
That's athleticism.
Uh-huh.
And you drive yourself, and I know you. Like, I know you well enough to know that every day you drive yourself to do more, to want to lift more. And you have goals, and you set them, and you're not put aside by not making those goals. You work harder to get to that place, right? And that's the difference. And when you tell kids, we're going to give you a participation trophy. We did a thing on this with Einstein's, you know, a fish, right? If you judge a fish, everybody has their genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its life thinking it's stupid. In today's society, what we do is they go, he tried to climb it. He did so well before he died. He got 6 inches up the trunk of the tree, and it's great. Give him a trophy. Instead of saying, hey, you can't climb trees.
Right.
You suck at it. Why don't you try swimming? Maybe you'd be better at swimming, right? Anyway, and I see that as a big problem. And this whole idea, we're coming, bring it back to recovery, of lack of accountability, of giving these like we started talking about with safe shooting sites. And giving people free works and putting Narcan out all over the place. And I'm torn about that because I don't want to see people die. I don't want to see them die. But I don't think just giving them no ramifications for those actions isn't the same either.
Yeah. It sounds harsh. To just let folks die. But I can tell you as a parent, sometimes you have to, you know, metaphorically speaking, push your kids out the nest.
Yeah.
To see if they fly. Because I'm not always going to be there for my children. One day I'll be gone. And all they'll have to rely on is what I've taught them. And if I just enable my children, if I never teach them how to, very simple thing, clean your room, right? Jordan Peterson again, clean your room. Just to have a little bit of order.
Yeah.
So you don't have roaches.
Yeah.
So you don't have mice. So you don't have disease in your home. So you can be cleanly. And that applies to your more in your life. Keep yourself organized at work. Or where's this file? You know, or where's this report? Simple things. If you treat people like children, they will act like it forever.
See, and I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's a big problem. I think it's a real big problem.
You talked about the person that lived in their basement when they're in their 30s, you know, like that's enabling. Man, I think about that sometimes. I don't want to be a child.
And I look at, like, if I give you drugs because, you know, you just, Isn't it the same as like if I say I'm a day trader and I lost all my money? Can you give me more money so I can lose more money? Like, you know, like I really got to do this. There has to be a cutoff. It's the same with accountability because you know, and I look at the Narcan and people say, well, why do you give Narcan? You don't give insulin away, and actually people do. You know, you can get other drugs, and the government does take care of people. You know, we give health care. People have health care. There's Medicaid, Medicare, things like this. And we do allow you to eat yourself to death in this country, you know? And now it's almost fashionable and you're not allowed to say anything. It's so funny to me that food is treated so much differently than other drugs even. You know, but the other drugs are now catching up with all these, you know, in New York City, you can get the kits. It's like a Narcan. You get Narcan. You can get a set of works, right? Hypodermics, and you can get a little crack pipe. Like it's like a little welcome package from the city of New York. Yeah, we're not flushing this city down the toilet.
I mean, that's a sign of defeat,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you know your kid doesn't want to listen, doesn't want to do it, you just let them do it. Because you're giving up.
How do you?
What kind of message does that send? It's the same thing too. You know, I think about you talk about accountability, right? If I never would have stopped using, and somebody came to me and said, "Hey, you can do whatever you want to do. You just got to take responsibility."
Right.
Okay, fine. You know, and I ask myself sometimes, would I want to be a kid again? No,
not me either.
I don't have any options. I'm at the whim of someone else.
Right.
So I ask myself, do I want to be autonomous?
Yeah.
Or do I want to be reliant or codependent on someone? That's not to say we don't need each other because we're apes. We need community. We need each other.
Right.
But there comes a point where you have to say, okay, how much am I going to be able to put forward? How much control am I going to take over my life? And you can only do that. For me, I've only been able to achieve that through recovery and really applying it to my life and to become a man here at 36.
Right.
And I came into when I was 34, but now I'm 36 and finally started feeling like a man. You know, you and I have talked about this offline, but I've made some really hard decisions lately. And I had to make them. Couldn't make them if I was using.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, when I realized that no one's coming to save me, you respond.
Because it also, like, what is freedom? What does freedom mean? Can you be free and be so absolutely reliant on everyone else in society?
You can't. And I know what that's like. I know exactly what it feels like to be beholden to someone. And it's the worst feeling in the world. Yeah. So what do? Little step at a time. A little bit. You bide your time. You figure out what's the plan. What's the mode of action? Do I save a little money here? Do I cut a subscription that I don't need?
Yeah.
Very simple. I had to do that in order to take responsibility of my life and that I could live how I want to live.
Right.
You know, relieving myself of a few luxuries isn't the worst thing that could happen to me. What's far worse is still being an active addiction, needing to have luxury. Can't exist without it. That is far more detrimental.
Well, you know, and becoming a slave to whatever it is you're using, and it really is. It's, you know, I remember coming into recovery and the kid I used to use with on the job. You know, we worked for the phone company, and it was and I told him, I said, I'm going back to the 12-step program, and he's like, it's a cult, and I'm like, dude, there's no bigger cult than heroin. Like, to me, heroin it personified a cult. Like, what is a cult? You know, you got to define that, right? Like, what does it mean to absolutely be in the grips, right? And for me, it was like heroin didn't give a fuck about my family, my friends, my bills, my car, my job, my house. None of it meant anything to heroin. I had to keep giving it more and more and more. And the more I gave, the more it took. And there was no stopping it. There was no stopping until I actually physically stopped. It was an all or nothing proposition, you know?
Right.
And I've seen that happen. My father was a gambler. My father was a compulsive gambler, and not a good one. I always say he liked slow football teams and slow horses, you know? And yeah, it was not good, and he couldn't stop, you know, and it finally took his life. He, you know, wound up, he got caught stealing money from where he worked and took his own life, you know, instead of going to prison. And there were a lot of other things that went into that, I'm sure, but that was really the impetus for what happened to him. But true freedom, like truly being an adult and truly being free to be your own person, and to be able to make decisions that aren't based on my necessity to do whatever I'm acting out on, you know, because you're never truly free. Like there are things you're going to have to do in life. You have to eat, right? If you're free, then you wouldn't have to do it. So there's always going to be things you have to do. But the freedom is, for me, is more of an internal thing. It's not this external, I don't have to do anything because I'm absolutely free. Like you hear these sovereign citizens talk about as the cop is pushing them up against the wall, right?
The thing is, the perception of freedom, if you're really going, well, for me, as I've matured and coming to my own adulthood, has to be a bit more sophisticated. It can't just be I can do whatever the hell I want, whenever I want. Freedom for me means having the discipline to do what is necessary that frees up my time to do what I want.
Yeah.
Right? So if I want to be able to take a day off, I have to do a lot of work to gain, you know, PTO, whatever it is. If I want to make gains in the gym, I have to lift a certain amount of times and do a certain amount of exercises, you know?
Right.
And it's a regiment. It's very structured. My day is very structured. But I don't have to think about it.
Right.
I don't have to think about what am I doing today. It's plug and play.
Yeah.
That's freedom, you know?
And I see it the same way. I don't see freedom as you know, just being able to get high whenever I want to, or just being able to do any of these things. You know, there's a guy we know, he says it's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Yes.
You know, and to me, doing what, and we talked about it in the last one, like there's no instant gratification that I can think of that doesn't come with a long-term cost. That everything that I do for long-term gain, it doesn't have that short-term, like that instant gratification to it, but long-term, it always benefits me more. Because I don't care what anybody says, there's something about a spiritual nature of a human being. Like we have this spirit about us, and people can deny it all they want, but we are spiritual beings. It's what makes us, because of the fact that we think, because of these things. Like we think, and therefore we have this higher presence about us, right? And if you don't want to damage, for me, if I don't want to damage that, I have to do these things. I have to be an adult. I have to grow up. Yeah. I have to give away those childish ways, you know, of doing what I want when it's like a spoiled child. You do what you want when you want, you know. I know these girls, I had a good friend, and she's like, I don't understand why these guys don't call me back. And I'm like, well, because, you know, you give them sex on the first date. She said, well, that's what they want. I said, of course it is. It doesn't mean you have to give it to them. And if they're not willing to wait, then you knew what they were about anyway, that they weren't going to call back anyway, because it's all they wanted, right? Your daughter, she wants ice cream. Like if you said every night, what do you want for dinner? She's going to ice cream and cake. Sounds pretty good, right? You don't give it to her. Why? Because, well, you have to learn. You have to eat properly, that this is a treat. This isn't the norm. Like, you know, this is, you know. Anyway, it's a good talk. I enjoyed this.
Me too. Good.
Growing up in recovery, big thing. What is it? I guess accountability would be the final.
Yeah, accountability. You know,
responsibility.
Accountability, responsibility, agility,
adulthood. Yeah,
anonymity, fragility. Vulnerability.
I think we're just naming words now. Yeah.
No, and also
he does crack himself. We see we have that in common, Peter and I. We both think we're the funniest people on the face of the earth.
I'm an only child, so you know I grew up entertaining myself
so much.
Yeah, you know, but I think accountability is big in recovery because you have to get yourself in that first meeting, right?
Yeah,
to get yourself through that door.
Yeah,
and the admission in itself, when you admit. Yeah. That you have a problem, and sky's the limit from there.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, it's been a great talk. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. By all means, comment, give it the thumbs up. That helps the algorithms and everything like this. We really are out to help people who are suffering with addiction. It is a huge problem in our society today, and it's only getting worse. People are dying all over the place, and we're here to help. We really are. My name is Dwight. This is Peter, and I'll see you next time. Be well. Thank you.